All right, so I hope your fall is turning out wonderful. The weather in Texas this is my favorite time. It's absolutely beautiful. Had a friend talk to me about, hey, I was asking them, I said, so what are people so against investing in oil? And granted, I get that there's the ESG movement, there's the clean energy movement, all these things, and the funny thing is when I talk to people in the industry, and myself included, we're all for green energy. We really are. If we could get off oil tomorrow, we would say we would do it. But the fact of the matter is, the people that are in the space know that transition is not going to happen in the next few years. I mean, it's going to take us at least 10 to, in reality, if we were to completely get off oil, it's going to take another 40 to 50 years, maybe, or 60, depending upon, how fast we do it and what governments throw, how much money and time and energy governments throw at it. But here's my point. I wanted to go over oil, and go over the historical side of it and going through recessions and everything to show you that right now it's a really good investment, especially a lot of the stuff I've been sending you. I don't know if you've been watching it or watching this YouTube channel, but the infrastructure, all the fundamentals for oil are there. There's not been a lot of infrastructure. Governments are pushing back against it, but at the same time, we're still flying jets and planes and getting Amazon delivered to us. And those aren't through electric cars or planes or anything like that, right? So we are going to be heavily, heavily dependent on it. I'm not communicating this correctly, but everything I see in the oil and gas industry, it is set to pop and set to stay up high for a long, long time. So, again, the fundamentals are there. If you're unconvinced, like, please let me know why, type thing. But without further ado, let's go over a 70-year historical chart. You can Google oil and gas historical charts. I just got mine from Macro Trends type thing, but you can go through any of them type thing. In reality, we're not going to go back to the 1950s. Where you could fill the tank up in your car for 25 cents a gallon. And it only got like 9 miles to the gallon, and every time you made a turn, you had to have everybody go to the port or the starboard side for that thing to actually make the turn. But want to show it to you. What I really want to do is I want to show recessions. And then let's see here. Let's get no, that's not the log scale. Yeah, let's just show the pricing on it type thing. All right, so here are the recessions, and I'm not going to go into these type thing. These are little recessions. We're going to go into the big three that we've experienced, and maybe in the 70s too. We'll go over that one. So let us shrink it in. All right, let's bust out a handy calculator here because I'm a numbers guy. And again, I'm doing this live, so if I mess up, I'm just going to tell you I messed up. All right, so let's start with let's start with was there one in the 70s we went to? Yeah, that was okay. So here, let's talk about this real quick, okay? And what happened with oil there. And this is why I want to include the 70s. All right, early 70s. I'm not sure what recession there was, but I know the 70s was full of hyperinflation, just like we're experiencing now, and oil just started to fly up, right? And then we hit a recession type thing. This is when the Fed, just like they're now, was raising rates a ton. Actually, one of my other videos that I labeled "Marry the House, Date the Rate, It's a Trap." I went over the historical charts of it. Take a look at that video. It's a great video. But about 6 minutes in, it shows 4 to 6 minutes type thing. It shows you the chart, the historical charts. But this is a recession where oil is at $39, and then it dumps down after recession 36. Not taking, I mean, that's just a small haircut, not taking very much off. All right, and then as things scroll out, it starts to go down a little bit. Again, a lot of these in the 80s were more of an issue of huge amounts of supply being dumped on the market. Okay, so when you see these low trends, that's what. But here's what I want to show you. So in this recession, oil goes up, and it stays for a recession. It stays pretty high, right? Especially one where the Fed we're in hyperinflation, and the government is raising housing interest rates. You would pay like 18% in this time in the early 80s, late 70s. Yeah, it was insane. Ask your parents about it, or if you're that old and you're listening to this right now, you're like, yep, I remember those days. Now, granted, houses back then were $35,000, $45,000. It wasn't as much as it was today for a really nice house, but interest rates were still, like 18%. And again, the average person, I think they were making like a good wage back then was like 25,000 a year or something like that. So, here's another recession that we had in the 90s, right? Early 90s, and oil popped up and it came back down. So it was at roughly about 22, popped up to 35, 40, okay, we'll call it 40, and then came back down to 19, right? I want you to just pin cap that. Go to here, the .com, which really has nothing to do with oil, but it was still a recession, right? Leading up to it, oil was, $12, $18. We'll just say $12, $18, under 20, got up to about 30, came down in the middle of the recession, held about 25, 26, 27 through the recession, and then came down, hit the 20 line, and bounced right back up. So here's some important markers. December 2000, right? Then it cut by about 20. Let's see here, cut by about 10% or so through September. So 9 months, it went down 10% when the whole economy's in recession. And then a year later, it went down 30%. So at the beginning of the recession in the 90s, oil was at about $30. At the end, it was about $20, right? So that's a difference in 1 year, it dropped 30%. Now, it's at, we'll just say call it $20. Let's go back up to here. And this is, let's see here, December 2001, pop it to here. By September of 2002, it's already gained back $10 more, right? It gained back almost all of what it did previously, right? And that was in a few years. Let's see here, in March of 2002, so again, below December 2001, so in 4 months, popped up an extra $5, which is about 25%, give or take, right? And then kind of going up and went down, but it keeps going up, right? We're going to see this trend through the next few recessions, all right? This is the trend I want you to get. Oil comes up, the economy goes into recession, oil holds itself or sometimes goes higher, dips back down, and then it reverses, and it gains 30% of what it lost, right? Or it gains about 50% of what it lost, excuse me. So oil's an uptrend, going up really, really high here type thing. Then we get to the 2008, the Great Financial Crisis, right? So 2006 was brewing. 2007, it really started to hit. I remember I graduated then and was trying to find a job. It was on its way then type thing. They put the actual start of it as December 2007. I'd say it started a lot earlier than in the year than that. But at the beginning of what they label as a recession, oil's at like $100, right? I would put it over here, but let's just say it's $100, okay? Oil's $100, start of the recession, 2008. It climbs up to 140. Actually, it peaked about 150, give or take, for a week or two, and then it came back down. And then not slowly, it kind of comes, let's see here. So June of 2008, it peaks. March, let's see here, January of 2009, so we're going from June of 2008 to January 2000, that's about 7 months. Then it drops down, kind of takes a big beating in 7 months, right? So it goes up, let's just start it from here. 2007, April, I would say, flies up. So in the period of about a year, it doubles. Actually goes more than double. And this causes a recession. You notice how as oil goes up, it hits the recession line and keeps going up, right? That's because when energy prices are high, it throws everything else down. And then what happens? Oil drops down in 3 months. It breaks itself. These things happen, right? January 2009, let's go up to April of 2010. 4 months later, it gains back 50% of what it was or what it lost, right? So this is what the trend that oil does in a recession. It's going to go up. You're going to make a ton of money on the way up. It's going to drop like a rock. And then it's going to recover in like 3 months. It'll have a little bit of a correction. Again, 1 month or two later, and then pop. Comes up again to 113, right? And it has corrections, and it starts to stay in this like median price of about, $90, give or take, right? That's what happens during a recession with oil. Okay, now this last one, I wouldn't even call it a recession. I mean, you barely see the bleep on it, right? Oil fell because they shut everything down. But at the same time, if you look at it, right, we are April 2020. That's when oil was down. It was bad, man. Everybody should have bought it then. You go to November. So a few months later, so let's see here, it is $18. A few months later, in April, about 6 months later, it's $45. A year later, 66, right? And these are the lows, by the way. You know, these spiking up and coming back down. A year later, it's $80. So oil keeps going up, keeps going up. Here's my projection, right? Now, I don't know. Let's see here. I don't know if we're going to hit the 2008 high. Well, here's what I think we're going to do. And this is not inflation adjusted. If you adjust it for inflation, it goes up even higher, right? But you see the trend. What I think what's going to happen in right now, we're hovering around, like oil just busted $90 today as I'm making this video. What I think we're going to go up, and it's going to be shaky. It's going to be kind of up and down. But by next year, we should be hovering around 100, 120, something like that within the year. And then depending upon what happens and when they fill up the SPR and what happens with Russia and China, and if there's a World War III or China attacks Taiwan or the US gets involved in a war, all those factors could happen, right? But I tell you what, of all those factors, they're not going to push oil down. They're just going to push it up, 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 up. And we're going to see it at the pump. I can almost guarantee you next year you will see an extra $1 at the pump. Okay, the only reason why it's been for the last year at this low point for the last like 6 months is because the president is artificially putting I think now he's putting like 10 million barrels of oil on the market per day from the special petroleum reserve to lower it. So it's artificial. So it's going to come back up. It's going to hover around here. That's why I think you should invest in oil, right? Through our investing plan that we do, we can see when oil is going to be up here type thing for a certain part. We want to sell all of our assets, or at least a lot of them that we're not going to hold for the long term. We're going to hold probably for 2 to 5 years or something like that. We're going to sell a lot of them right around here. Okay, when oil gets up to 120, 125, give or take, I think oil is going to get up to 140, and that's when it's going to be the breaking point because there's so much cash in the system right now, right? But starting at 120 to 140 and it's holding there, that's when we're going to start to sell, right? So hopefully it helps you out. If you want to join me in this, feel free to contact me if you got any questions. If you like oil, don't. If you have questions about this, if you think this is a bunch of hoo-ha, if you're like, hey man, Green Deal only type thing, or if you just think that I am off and I am bat poop crazy, post it. Let me know, type in. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know if these videos help you, if they're like, I don't care. But I'm hoping this chart helps give you some knowledge about it, but also some confidence in oil because it's going to affect all of us. All of us got to go to the pump. I've got to fill my gas tank up here in the next few days, type thing. It affects all of us. But if you're investing in oil, I know there's a lot of fear that, hey, I don't understand it. I don't know what's going to happen, type thing. Here's the charts that say, hey, it's going to rip up, right? And even in a recession, it's going to come down, but then it's going to gain. But in a matter of 6 months, it's going to gain 50% of what it lost. So it's going to be back up to highs, right? So take it when it goes up, again, it doubled when it goes up. It lost about 70% of that, then it popped back up again, higher than what it was before. That's what I'm trying to communicate. That's why I think it's so good. And also, the strategy we have actually kind of hedges against that, because we work with really, really good companies that have great financials. They're not the fly-by-night guys that didn't just start 3 years ago or something like that, but they are ones that have been in the game, that will continue to be in the game. And we've got some secrets to our sauce. If you have any questions about that, give me a call, contact me. But I would do it soon. This is why. Right now, we can get some deals around here. Okay, especially because the end of the year is coming up. All right, we got 60 more days, 59 more days, but in reality, with holidays, we got like 40 more days. Right here, oil's right here. Catch it, write it up, and then we're going to sell it off around here. All right. I would get in now, because next year when oil gets up to right here, sellers just want too much money. There's all a bunch of wholesalers and everything like that, and it's just, you can't really find a deal that doesn't have good numbers behind it, right? That is not a prudent investment. So I'd say get in now, contact me, and let me know if this helps. That's the biggest thing. Just let me know if this helps. Put some what am I trying to say? Give some credence to what I'm saying, and helps you understand and give you more, I guess, faith and hope in what oil does, so people aren't freaking out and saying, oh, it can drop tomorrow. It can also rip up to $140 tomorrow too. So, and you know what? If it rips up to 140 and it drops, give it 6 months, it'll be back to where it is. With that, I'm out.